Good morning. I am going to go live. I want to talk a little bit today about Friday's Financial Tidbit and something that we've covered, I think, twice before, but I really believe that we can never talk about this often enough, nor can we talk about this too much. And this is human biases, the mistakes that we all make because we are human beings when it comes to money. But I want to get into a couple of these very specific biases, maybe in more detail than we've talked about before. And as you join the stream, I want to ask you to please give me your feedback. Like, do these resonate with you? Are they things that you do? By the way, they are, because you're a human being, but do you notice them in yourselves? And do you have some tips for how you may avoid making mistakes, even though you have these biases? Because we can use them to work for us or to work against us. There is no doubt that we do not save enough money for retirement. That's a proven fact. It is a truism. There are a number of reasons why that is true. One is simply our culture. Americans specifically are known to want to live in the present, want to be able to take advantage of everything today and have a good time today and not save for the future because we're always putting it off. Another reason can be that 2/3 of American workers right now do not have a retirement plan at work, which means that they need to take on the responsibility of saving for their retirement personally. And they're not good at it, or again, we're putting it off. We're going to do it. We're just not going to do it right now. And you know as well as I do that time goes by pretty quickly. Another reason may be because of stagnant economies and the fact that, maybe I'm not making enough right now to be able to save for retirement, or at least I think I'm not making enough right now in order to save for retirement. Again, my own personal belief, my own background. You may not be making as much as you want to, but we all have holes in our budgets where money is seeping out. And if we plug up some of those holes, we might not even need to give up things that we really enjoy. We are just wasting money, and we need to find out where that's happening and plug up those budget holes. Okay, so I want to talk about a couple of the biases. Again, we've done this before, and I can pop more information about each of the ones I'm going to cover today in the comments. The first one is a present day bias. Now, present day bias talks about the fact that we like to get whatever's going today. We don't like to have this delayed gratification to go, okay, I could get this today, or I could wait and get something else tomorrow. Now, there's numerous studies that have proven this, and it's not just in saving money, but it's in life in general. So there was something, it was called the marshmallow test. The marshmallow test that was done by a Stanford professor, and this was back in the 60s. His name was Walter Mischel. He actually brought in hundreds of 4 to 5-year-old children, and he talked to them and put a marshmallow on the table in front of them and said, okay, I'm going to leave the room for a period of time. And he stepped out for 15 to 20 minutes. I'm going to leave the room for a period of time. I'm going to leave this marshmallow here. You have a choice. You can eat this marshmallow while I'm out of the room. And if you do, that's cool, but we're done. Or if you don't eat this marshmallow while I'm out of the room, then when I come back in 15 to 20 minutes, I'll give you 2 marshmallows. Now you can imagine 4 to 5-year-old children now, this is a very difficult thing for them to do, even for a period of 15 to 20 minutes. And so he videotapes it. Some of those videos are absolutely adorable as you're watching the children like struggle. They want to wait. Some of them can, some of them can't. Well, then this study is expanded for a period of 40 years where they're studying these children as they grow into adulthood. And it showed that those that had the ability to delay gratification, even with marshmallows when they were 4 to 5 years old, they were able to wait, were more successful throughout their lives, because everything takes time to come to fruition. So those kids that were able to put it off and know that they were going to have a bigger benefit in the future by not having this one single marshmallow now were more successful within their lives. As far as money goes, this is where marketers feed on our fear of missing out, that FOMO, the fact that if you don't get this right now, next week, you don't have the opportunity to get this. It's going to be gone forever. How can I work against this? How can I fix this so that I don't fall into that trap? One, know that very few things truly are not going to be available to you next week, okay? For example, I have a health and fitness background, and many of you know that. If I'm working with someone who would like to lose weight, would like to get more healthy, and is, as a means to do that, cutting back on, let's say, desserts, just because that's an easy one, okay? Now, if I tell this person, you cannot ever have dessert, is that going to be successful? Because the only thing that this person is ever going to think about every second is the dessert that they can't have. It's looking at that scarcity mindset. But if you think about it this way, you know what? Carrot cake is going to be in the world next week. It'll be there 6 months from today. You don't actually have to have the dessert now. If you delay that dessert and you reach some of your preset goals to go, I'm going to have it, but I'm not going to have it until next Friday. I'm not going to have it until 6 weeks from now when I've had an opportunity to eat better, drink more water, get more exercise, and work towards a goal that I have preset for myself. That helps me to work against that present day bias. If you identify what you really want in the future, next week, 6 months from now, a year from now, 5 years from now, 20 years from now, doesn't matter what it is. You identify what you actually want in the future. You write it down. And then you have to remind yourself of that goal periodically, right? We forget. We get distracted pretty easily. So maybe, as simple as it sounds, you're putting this goal in writing and you're putting it on your refrigerator. You're putting it on your bathroom mirror. You're putting it somewhere. It's the cover shot for your cell phone, whatever it is, somewhere so that you can see it periodically and remind yourself, oh yeah, I'm working for this. I'm working for that. I want this or that. That will help you to avoid some of that present day bias. It's still there. But again, knowing about it and making your long-term goal top of mind will help you to reach it much more successfully. Good morning, Pam. Have you heard of the marshmallow story before, Pam, or is that the first time that you've heard about it? Because I study this stuff. I mean, I love it. I've heard about it for a long time, but I just wonder how many regular people have ever heard about it before. The next one that I'm going to talk to you about, again, I know that I've covered it before, but you may not have seen that video or you may have forgotten about it. And that is a bias for exponential growth, which is not necessarily a human bias, but it boils down to a mathematical error that we make. We forget or we don't understand the value of compounding and how long-term compounding can either help us or really hurt us. It can hurt us if we're carrying debt, if we're not paying off our credit card bills every month when they come in. So now not only do I have the stuff that I bought and I still have to pay for, but they're adding interest on top of interest on top of interest on top of interest. So me carrying a balance on my credit card from month to month makes that payment grow, that debt grow exponentially. That's compounding working against me. Compounding working for me is investing just a little bit or saving just a little bit and having that grow with interest, which grows on top of interest, which grows on top of interest, and again now exponentially growing to my benefit. how can I fix this bias or this mistake? I can make myself more informed. I can actually run some simulations. There are numerous compounding calculators online. Just do a search, compounding calculator, and type in some numbers. Go, okay, I can only save $10 a week. Fine. But if you save $10 a week starting now, how long are you going to be able to save $10 a week, and what are you making for yourself? Look at what you're going to earn if you put it in the bank, and I'll tell you it's not going to be very much, right? Interest rates are super, super low. If you've never thought about it before, one thing you might want to look at is putting your money into a high yield savings account. I did that just over the last year, took some of my money out of the brick and mortar bank and actually put it into, it's still a savings account, it's still FDIC insured, it's still everything, except I don't have a bank that I can show up and go to. It's online. So that means it may be a little bit more difficult for me to withdraw money. That's good because it's going to save me from myself. If I want to do impulse buying, I don't have like ready instant access to this money. I can get it pretty quickly, but not the second that I want to have it. But by putting my money in that high yield interest savings online, even though the interest rates have dropped, that's happened across the board. Even though interest rates have dropped, I'm making a lot more money in that high yield savings account than I was just having it sit in my traditional savings account at the brick and mortar bank. So even if you're not to the point of feeling like you're competent or able to invest, putting it in the high yield account will earn you a little bit more money. And again, over time, little bits add up. If you are at the point of investing and you have an account at work, something like TSP or a retirement sponsored account, save as much as you possibly can. Again, $2 or $3 extra every single week, $10 every single week add up very substantially over time. If you're going to be investing on your own, or maybe you don't have one of those workplace accounts, then look at a robo-advisor, something that you're going to be able to invest even small amounts of money into, and you're investing in, ideally, an index fund, which is all components of the market or segments of the market, not company A, B, or C, because who knows what this one company might do, but we know over time this market is going to be okay. Doing the robo-advisor will allow you to invest little teeny bits of money instead of, some people think you need to have, $10,000, $50,000 to do an investment. And maybe that's true. It depends on where you're investing it and who you're investing it with. So that's that exponential growth bias. Again, another one that I find incredibly interesting because it can make such a huge difference and so few people pay attention to it. Another one is anchoring. And I'm looking at my list just to figure out which ones do I want to talk about today. Anchoring is another one that can get us. And again, being aware, knowing that we as humans have these problems will help us to work against the problems. So anchoring is the bias that we attach to the very first price that we see. We have talked about this before, and the fact that marketers know it. So whenever you see something that's advertised, a lot of times they will start with regular market price, normally goes for, those kind of things. And then the second thing they say is, but today it's this price, which is a lower price. Today it's on sale with this much off. Why are they doing that? Why don't they just tell us the price to begin with? Because we anchor to the very first price that we see, that we hear. And if they gave us the sale price, that would be our foundation. Now anything above that would sound too high, or, I guess I forgot to shut my phone off this morning before I went live. The reason they give us that higher number first is because now we anchor to that higher number. In any number below that seems like a deal, seems like a bargain. So how can we help ourselves against this anchoring bias? If you want or need to buy something, then it may be a very good idea for you to spend 5 minutes researching that something. hopping online and finding out what the regular price for that thing really is. So now you've anchored to that price and you have a more realistic look at what it's going to cost you. Then when you go out there, you may not be swayed as easily with the price that they're showing, because you know that that really isn't a discount. That's just the regular price, but they're trying to get you to buy more. Talking about that, there's one more bias that I'll get into this morning, and it's called the endowment effect. The endowment effect means that we value things that we personally own more than we value other things. So why did I bring that one in when I'm talking about the fact that we anchor to these prices? Because all of this becomes studies in marketing. The endowment effect means that if we can get the consumer to feel like they already own this thing, then they'll hold on to it. That is why we have things like subscriptions. You can sign up. There is no requirement for you to pay the subscription cost month to month, but most people who sign up for subscriptions forget that they have them. It's set at a lower price, so they really don't notice as they're paying that bill from month to month. And if I have this, it's much more difficult for me to give it up versus if I didn't buy it in the first place. This is also why we have dressing rooms in the store, so you can go in and see how beautiful you're going to look in this new dress. Now you just have to have it. This is why we have trials where you can get this and no commitment whatsoever for the first 14 days. It is free because now you own it. And the chances of you giving it up at the end of the 14 days is much, much less. So again, being aware of it is the first step, but then finding a way to fix that so that you don't make as many mistakes. When it comes to that endowment effect, I would say, here's, and it's just one tip. Again, different things work for different people. You do what works for you. You have a tip that might be helpful to everybody else, drop it in the comments, please. But here's one thing that I do when it comes to that endowment effect. If there's something that I see that's I just want it. I want it so bad. I'm going to go out and get this thing. Then if it's not something that I need today, I'm going to maybe write it down for myself to go, ooh, I saw this and I really like it. Like, that's really interesting. I want that thing. And I'm just going to write it down. But then I'm going to wait a period of time. Now, this may be a week. It might be a month, whatever. I'm just going to set it on the shelf for a period of time. And then after that time has passed, I'm going to pull this list out. Maybe there's a couple things on the list. I'm going to pull this out and I'm going to go, oh yeah, you know what? I did really want that thing, but I haven't even thought of it over the last 2 weeks. Okay, so then do I really need it? And I will tell you, by adding in just a little bit of time, I buy a lot less. Whereas if I didn't add in that cushion, but I saw this thing and I want this thing and I buy this thing, and then 2 weeks down the road I go, it's okay. I've already spent the money and now I own it. So again, that endowment effect means that I'm going to hold on to it. I find this stuff incredibly interesting. You are a human being. I hope that some of the tips that I share here, some of the theories, some of these biases are also interesting to you. I really hope they're fascinating to you because they are to me. But I hope they're at least interesting. I hope that they're helpful. And I would ask again, if you've got tips, share them, put them in the comments. Maybe you're going to help somebody else out. I am going to get on with my day. I hope that you have a great rest of your day. I hope that you have a great weekend, and I will see you here on Monday. Monday, we have questions from the classroom. So if you have any questions about your retirement, your finances, your thrift savings, your 401k, anything like that, send me an IM, put them in the comments here. I always check these things. I would love to address your personal questions on Monday. If you have any, let me know. Take care. Bye for now.